If you want to change the world, start by making your bed every morning. But what if I tell you, if you want to command respect from the world, start by mastering yourself? Ladies and gentlemen, in a world that constantly demands validation, applause, and approval, very few dare to turn inward. We spend years chasing recognition, chasing people who will understand us, and chasing a place where we will finally feel respected. But here's the truth: respect doesn't come from power, position, or popularity. It comes from mastery, the mastery of your emotions, your reactions, your habits, and your inner self. Because when you conquer the battlefield within, no one outside can defeat you. Mastering yourself isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about knowing your flaws and still choosing peace. It's about learning how to stand tall even when life pushes you to your knees. When you master yourself, people see it not in your words, but in your energy. You stop demanding respect and you start commanding it. Because the world bows not to the loudest voice, but to the calmest soul who knows who they are. Master your emotions before they master you. The hardest battle you will ever fight is not with another person, but with the emotions that live inside you. Every day, you wake up with 1,000 thoughts that try to control you, fear that whispers, anger that burns, sadness that pulls, and doubt that drowns. These emotions can destroy your peace if you let them, but they can also shape your wisdom if you learn to master them. The choice has always been yours. There will be days when someone's words will cut you like knives, when rejection will break your confidence, and when disappointment will steal your light. But that's where mastery begins, in those moments when you choose to respond with grace instead of rage. The strength of your character isn't measured by how loudly you react, but by how deeply you remain centered when life tries to shake you. When you master your emotions, you begin to see everything differently. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start saying, what is this trying to teach me? That single shift changes everything. Because instead of being controlled by what hurts you, you start learning from it. You begin to use pain as your teacher, not your enemy. There's a rare beauty in emotional control. It doesn't make you cold. It makes you wise. It means you can still feel deeply, but your feelings no longer control your destiny. It means you can love without losing yourself, forgive without forgetting your worth, and walk away without bitterness. This is the silent strength that turns ordinary souls into extraordinary beings. The world will test your patience, your calm, your boundaries. But each time you choose calm over chaos, you rise a little higher. You begin to glow differently because your peace no longer depends on external calmness. It's anchored inside you. That kind of power is magnetic. People can sense it before you even speak. When others see that nothing can break your emotional balance, they begin to trust your energy. They realize you are not unpredictable, not fragile, not desperate to react. You are grounded. And in a world full of emotional turbulence, grounded people are rare and deeply respected. The truth is, when you master your emotions, you stop chasing control outside and find it within. You stop letting the world dictate your mood, your energy, your direction. You become the master of yourself, and that mastery, quietly but powerfully, earns the respect of everyone around you. Discipline is the silent language of self-mastery. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do what you hate. It's about teaching yourself to love what helps you grow. It's the invisible armor that protects you from your own distractions. Every person who has ever created something meaningful did so not because of fleeting motivation, but because of consistent discipline. It is what keeps your dreams alive when inspiration dies. There will be days when you'll feel exhausted, unmotivated, and lost. Days when it feels easier to quit, easier to rest, easier to ignore your goals. But discipline whispers in your ear, do it anyway. It's not loud, it's not glamorous, but it's steady. And that steadiness is what separates those who talk about success from those who live it. Discipline teaches you respect for yourself. Every time you keep a promise you made to yourself, your self-worth grows stronger. You begin to see that you don't need validation because your actions already prove your dedication. When you keep showing up for yourself, you start to believe in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, the world starts believing in you too. The beauty of discipline is that it builds unseen. Nobody applauds you when you wake up early, study late, or sacrifice comfort for growth. But slowly, those small daily efforts shape your destiny. People will one day call it luck, but deep down, you'll know it was discipline disguised as grace. Discipline is not just about work, it's about the mind. It's saying no to negativity, no to drama, no to distractions that drain your energy. It's choosing to be selective with what enters your soul. The disciplined mind is focused, peaceful, and unstoppable. Over time, people begin to notice your consistency. They see that you don't speak too much, but you deliver. You don't chase opportunities, they find you. Because the universe respects consistency. It rewards those who refuse to quit, those who stay steady when everyone else stops trying, and that's how discipline earns you respect without asking for it. When you show the world that you can master yourself, they no longer question your worth, they start admiring your strength. Silence is a sign of strength, not weakness. Silence has a voice that words can never match. It speaks of control, maturity, and confidence. In a world where everyone rushes to speak, to react, to prove, the one who stays silent holds power. Because silence means you have nothing to prove, you have peace. And that's louder than any argument. There was a time when you reacted to everything. Every insult hurt, every opinion mattered, every rumor disturbed your peace. But the day you learned to stay silent, you realized how much energy you were wasting trying to explain yourself to those who were committed to misunderstanding you. Silence isn't surrender, it's self-respect. When you learn to stay calm in chaos, you become untouchable. People no longer control your emotions because your peace is no longer dependent on their approval. You understand that not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every insult deserves your response. And not every battle deserves your presence. Silence allows you to hear your own thoughts, to reconnect with yourself. It becomes your shield in moments when the world tries to provoke you. And when people see you handle pain, criticism, and pressure with grace, they begin to respect you. Because it takes enormous strength to stay silent when your ego wants to roar. Silence also teaches humility. It reminds you that wisdom doesn't shout, it observes. The most powerful people are not those who dominate the room, but those whose presence changes the atmosphere without uttering a word. Silence makes you magnetic because it reflects control, and control is power. There will be moments when people will misunderstand your silence as weakness, but don't break it to prove your strength. Let your peace do the talking. In time, they will realize that your silence was never emptiness, it was mastery. It was the voice of someone who had nothing to prove and everything to protect. Because true strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simply stays quiet and the world bows to that quiet strength. Learn to walk alone before you expect others to walk with you. There will come a time in your journey when you'll have to walk alone. Not because no one loves you, but because no one else can walk your path for you. That is where mastery begins. In solitude, in silence, in self-reflection. The world teaches you to depend, but solitude teaches you independence, and that's where respect begins. When you walk alone, you meet yourself, your fears, your flaws, your truth. You discover the parts of you that others overlook, and in that sacred discovery, you realize you were never weak, you were simply untested. Walking alone becomes your greatest test of strength because it strips away everything superficial and leaves you with what's real. The journey alone is not easy. It's full of nights when your heart feels heavy and your mind loud. But those nights build you. They shape you into someone who no longer seeks comfort in crowds, but peace in clarity. You learn that being alone is not loneliness, it's power. Solitude teaches you boundaries. It shows you who you are without the world's opinions. It teaches you that you don't need permission to shine. You just need purpose. The more you sit with yourself, the more you realize that peace comes not from people, but from presence. People begin to respect those who can stand alone because independence radiates confidence. You no longer follow trends or seek attention, you create your own light. The one who walks alone always walks ahead because they are led by conviction, not validation. When you return from your solitude, you walk differently. Your silence speaks wisdom, Your eyes reflect peace, and your energy commands respect. People can sense the strength of someone who has walked through fire and still glows with grace. And that is the beauty of walking alone. You return to the world not needing anyone's approval because you've already found your own worth. Forgive, but never forget what it taught you. Forgiveness is one of the highest forms of self-mastery. It's easy to stay bitter, to hold grudges, to seek revenge, but forgiveness demands courage. It asks you to let go of pain not because they deserve peace, but because you do. It's not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from the chains that keep you anchored to the past. You forgive not to erase what happened, but to rise above it. Every betrayal, every heartbreak, every disappointment carries a lesson that shapes you. Forgiveness allows you to take that lesson without carrying the pain. It turns your wounds into wisdom and your scars into strength. There is peace that comes when you no longer crave closure, when you no longer need an apology, because you understand that closure doesn't come from others, it comes from acceptance. You stop asking, why did they hurt me? And start saying, thank you for teaching me what not to accept again. That shift is emotional freedom. Forgiveness doesn't mean you allow the same people to hurt you again. It means you've learned the boundary between kindness and foolishness. It means you choose peace over poison. And that choice makes you powerful beyond measure. People respect those who can forgive and still rise gracefully. Because it takes enormous strength to face pain and still choose softness. It's not weakness, it's emotional mastery. The ability to let go when your heart still remembers the pain is the ultimate display of inner power. When you forgive, you stop living as a victim and start living as a victor. You realize that what broke you actually built you. That every ending was secretly a new beginning designed to make you wiser. Forgiveness doesn't just heal your heart, it cleanses your soul. And when you walk with that kind of peace, people feel it. They see the calm in your eyes, the strength in your silence, the grace in your presence, and that's when they respect you. Not because of what you've achieved, but because of who you've become. To master yourself is to win the greatest battle of all. It's the victory that no one sees, but everyone feels. You stop chasing recognition, you stop needing validation, and you start living from a place of truth. People may not understand your calm, but they will feel your strength. Because self-mastery is not about controlling the world. It's about controlling your world. And when you finally reach that state of mastery, when your emotions are balanced, your discipline unshakable, your silence powerful, your solitude peaceful, and your heart forgiving, the world will bow, not to your voice, but to your presence. Because the one who has mastered themselves has already earned the world's respect.